It's Sunday the 17th right now, and this is an update on the Ataulfo rootstocks. So let's kind of take a look at everything. Um, in terms of the blooms that came out later on the non-Dogmite 4, they're all pretty much just destroyed. They're all pretty much black. Have not really sprayed or anything for it, but they all look kind of like this. So right now I'm contemplating. Usually I don't really care much for the spring or summer blooms, just because I focus more on the winter blooms. Not the winter, kind of like the fall, getting into winter blooms. I do get more fruits from that when I spray. So that's what I usually do, but this year I didn't get a chance. So there's some fruits that's held from some that set like in very late November, December, but for the rest of it, nothing's kind of setting. So I might just remove this to maybe get a summer bloom. I'm not too sure yet. I am going to be top working probably the majority of the non-Dogmite number 4 left. I will be trying to get more Little Gem on this. So we have loved Little Gem as a green eating mango, so it's gonna get a good spot on this tree for us. So we're gonna give it a good spot on this tree for us for that. So here's the rest of the stuff. The California Ramette is blooming right now. So it's bloomed. Look like it made it through the winter, but I'll be breaking off most of these panicles. My plan is mid-March. I'll be removing it just to ensure a nice healthy bloom and a fruit set. So I'll probably be removing about 50% of all the blooms I see, no matter how it's looking, if it's looking good or not. I'm going to be removing it. Okay, and all these other grass right here, some of them is not even showing any activity yet, so let's see what happens. And the later the bloom is, probably the better chance I have of it setting fruit. So I am not in no rush for it to bloom right away. The only issue I had is of this one right here. Look at this. What is this? Is this anthracnose or what? But this is a Thai variety that seems to be a bit prone to it. So I've seen it happen like twice already, last year and also this year. Everything else looking pretty much okay. There's a lot of kind of dust and dirt on these leaves, and that's because of the larger canopy on top. And again, I'll be removing a majority of this year. I decided to go with Little Gem as a kind of very late season green eating mango variety, and that's what I'm going to top work it with. So here's the second tree. You can see some of the blooms on here, not as strong as the first tree. It's blooming a little bit later than the other one, and you know, they're not too far away from each other. So that one side of the yard versus the other side of the yard. But these blooms on here look a bit more younger. So this is the California Ramette. It's blooming. Some of my other grass are not really blooming or anything yet, like the Maha up there, or the Super Julie right there. No blooms yet. This is a Laverne Manila. Also no blooms yet, but the Laverne Manila, they tend to bloom pretty late. So update on this, and again with this, I will also be plan is to breaking off about 50% of the bloom panicles in next month, mid-March, just to ensure some healthy fruit sets. I did this last year. Looking back at my notes, I did it March 9th, and it was a pretty successful year last year. So I'm gonna do it again this year, but maybe like a little bit, maybe like a week later. I'm not too sure yet if I'll do it mid-month or a little bit earlier. Okay, and here's tree number 3. It's the one I took off pretty much. It was about like 15 feet of growth. I took it all down. Plan was to top work this with dwarf varieties. Unfortunately, most of my grafts did not take, but I did get some to take. This is, for example, a Julie right here. That's taken. There's a Juliet right there. That's taken. And I'll be grafting pretty much all dwarf varieties on here. Definitely gonna get it onto it this coming spring and summer. But the branch that was kind of left to kind of help nurse the tree, it is in full bloom. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this branch yet. Maybe I'll just let it fruit and then focus on grafting everything on this side, and maybe just let this fruit. I'm not too sure. But here's all the blooms right here. They look okay for right now, but I will be again removing about 50% of the bloom, maybe a month after, sometimes in April I'll remove another 25% of the bloom. But look at it, it looks nice and healthy, and they usually, you know, the California mint, they usually, you know, make it through the rains and so forth pretty healthily. They get a little bit of blackening here and there, but they seem to be okay. But usually, just to be safe, I am gonna still remove the blooms to get healthy, like real nice full size large fruits from it. Okay, so this is tree 4 and 5, and you can see quite a few blooms on the California mint on the top branches, but not much going on the lower branches. So these might push out a little bit lower, or they're just beginning to push out. And yeah, they're still pretty kind of young blooms. I'll probably be taking off quite a few of the larger limbs down there to try to get some of the grafts I had to kind of take off. Like, for example, this is an orange sherbet right here that's just kind of sat around. The interesting thing, and I mentioned before, like depending on how much shade you get, so this side of the house gets shade pretty much all day long except for like the afternoon, and it seems like the shade does prevent or delay lots of the bloom. Like this graft, on most of the grafts it will be blooming if it was like in full sun or something like that. This one actually sent out just vegetation, which is very interesting. I enjoy that, so I'll probably be removing some of those limbs over there to open up the canopy a bit to let this thing grow, this orange sherbet. Let's see, I have right there, like that's like a maha right there, you can kind of see it. So I'll probably be cutting some of the canopy off of this too, kind of give it some light. And here's some of the ones I had for a few years now. It hasn't really grown much just because it's been in the shade. But you know, like the cactus right here, I got like a pina colada and like an ice cream, you know. So let's see what happens with it. And let's see what I got here. Here's a sweet tart right here. Sweet tart. Okay, a few other Thai grafts I got right there. And this one's been the most interesting. This is a pina colada, and it initially grew very slowly, but then started pushing out these bigger longs. But it's just very long and nippy right now. I do need to cut it back. And here is, look at this. This is pretty nice. This is peach cobbler. Peach cobbler right here. This whole section right here is peach cobbler. And again, I'll be removing 50% of this blooms in mid-March to try to trigger a second bloom that hits much more nicer warm weather. Okay, so that's about the update on this right now. So everything's pretty much in bloom. It's gonna be like that for the next month or two, you know, see what happens. All right, thanks.